Anna and David Harper seemed like the perfect couple until David vanished without a trace. What no one knew was that hidden cameras inside their home had been silently watching every secret, every fight, and every deadly moment. When Anna realized everything was recorded, her carefully built world began to collapse, exposing a chilling truth no one saw coming. Anna and David Harper lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood where every house looked neat, every lawn was carefully trimmed, and every neighbor seemed to know one another. From the outside, their life was the picture of happiness and stability. Their home was always clean and inviting, filled with laughter and the aroma of home-cooked meals. Anna was often seen volunteering at the local school or organizing community events, always polite and friendly to everyone she met. David, a successful businessman, worked long hours but was known to take time on weekends to attend family gatherings or local sports games. Together, they seemed like the perfect couple, the kind others envied. But appearances can be deceiving. Behind closed doors, the atmosphere was far from peaceful. Neighbors occasionally heard raised voices late at night, and some had even noticed bruises on David's arms and neck. When asked, David would offer excuses: a fall, an accident, something minor. And Anna always stood by him, explaining away what she called normal disagreements. Most people accepted their explanations, unwilling to pry into the private matters of a seemingly happy family. Inside the Harper household, the tension was a constant shadow. Arguments sparked over small things: a forgotten chore, a missed call, a misplaced item, but quickly escalated into intense fights. Anna's temper was unpredictable. Sometimes she was calm and affectionate, other times cold and sharp. David tried to keep the peace, but it seemed his efforts only fueled the tension. Despite the turmoil, neither sought help outside their home, keeping their struggles hidden from the world. David's disappearance came suddenly and without warning. One evening, he left the house for what he said was a short business trip, but he never returned. Days passed, and Anna's story about his absence remained consistent. He was delayed, caught up in meetings, or stuck in traffic. Concern grew among neighbors, but Anna's calm demeanor kept suspicion at bay. Police arrived to investigate, but they found no evidence of foul play. The house showed no signs of struggle or forced entry. David's car was still in the driveway. His phone was turned off. It was as if he had simply vanished into thin air. The investigators interviewed Anna thoroughly. She appeared composed and cooperative, providing details about David's work and their life together. Without physical evidence or witnesses, the case grew colder with each passing day. But beneath Anna's calm exterior, cracks were beginning to show. Small inconsistencies in her story caught the attention of a few investigators. She seemed too composed, almost rehearsed. Friends and family grew concerned but dared not confront her directly. The perfect illusion of the Harper family was beginning to crumble, but no one yet knew just how deep the darkness ran inside their home. Unknown to Anna, David had recently taken steps to protect himself. He installed a new advanced home security system with hidden cameras positioned in discreet places around the house. These cameras were silent watchers, capturing every moment without anyone noticing. The recordings they collected would soon become the key to unraveling the truth, hidden secrets that no one suspected, waiting quietly to expose the darkness behind the perfect facade. David Harper's disappearance sent shockwaves through the small community, stirring up questions and fears that no one could easily answer. At first, everyone hoped it was a simple misunderstanding, that David was delayed or had taken a spontaneous trip without telling anyone. But as days turned into weeks, the hope faded, replaced by growing suspicion and anxiety. The police treated the case as a missing person investigation, but the lack of clues made progress slow and frustrating. Neighbors who had once admired the Harper household now exchanged uneasy glances. Some remembered the occasional loud arguments late at night. Others recalled seeing Anna's tense expressions and David's tired eyes. Yet no one had expected anything serious. Certainly not that David might be in danger. His sudden absence, without a word, was alarming, and Anna's composed demeanor only added to the mystery. She continued her daily routine as if nothing had changed, attending events, answering questions with practiced calm, and avoiding any sign of distress. The police searched the Harper home meticulously. Every room was inspected for signs of a struggle or forced entry. But there was nothing. The windows and doors were all securely locked. David's belongings, including his wallet, phone, and keys, were untouched. His car remained parked in the driveway, untouched and intact. The entire scene suggested he had left voluntarily. But why would he disappear without telling his wife or anyone else? Detectives interviewed Anna multiple times. She answered questions carefully, providing details about David's work schedule and last known activities. Her story was consistent, but raised subtle doubts. She seemed too controlled, too polished, as if she was hiding something beneath her calm exterior. Still, without concrete evidence, the police had no grounds to accuse her of wrongdoing. The case was frustratingly stuck between mystery and suspicion. Meanwhile, Anna's behavior began to shift in subtle ways. While she maintained her composed front in public, those closest to the family noticed her growing anxiety behind closed doors. She was often seen pacing nervously, checking her phone repeatedly, and avoiding certain topics. Friends and relatives who tried to offer support found her distant, unwilling to open up. Some whispered that she seemed more afraid of something unknown than simply saddened by David's absence. In the background of the investigation, a breakthrough was about to happen, but no one anticipated it. David, who had always been cautious, had recently installed a new home security system. This system was unlike the old cameras the family once had. It was modern, discreet, and linked to a cloud server, recording everything silently from multiple hidden angles. David had set it up after a few unsettling incidents in the neighborhood and hoped it would offer peace of mind. The detectives, searching for any clue that might explain David's vanishing, stumbled upon the security system's existence during a routine visit to the house. The discovery raised new hope. They gained access to the footage, expecting to see perhaps the last moments before David left. Instead, they found something far more disturbing. The footage began to reveal scenes nobody was prepared for. Arguments escalating between Anna and David, moments of visible fear on David's face, and Anna's increasingly erratic behavior. These silent recordings captured a version of their life no one outside the house had ever seen. As the police watched, they realized that David's disappearance might not have been a simple act of running away. Something far darker was unfolding behind the walls of the Harper home. With this new evidence, the investigation entered a new, intense phase. The mystery deepened, and the quiet neighborhood was about to be rocked by revelations that would shock everyone who thought they knew the truth. The discovery of the new security system inside the Harper home marked a turning point in the investigation. Unlike the old cameras the family had used before, this system was state-of-the-art. Small, hidden in unexpected places, and connected to a cloud server that stored every second of footage securely. David had installed it just weeks before his disappearance, hoping it would provide an extra layer of safety. What no one realized was that these silent watchers would become the key to uncovering the truth. Detectives carefully accessed the recordings, starting with the days leading up to David's vanishing. At first, the footage seemed ordinary. Daily routines, quiet mornings, family dinners. But as the hours passed, the hidden cameras began to reveal cracks in the Harpers' perfect facade. Tensions simmered just beneath the surface. Glances filled with frustration, hands clenched in anger, bodies stiff with unspoken conflict. One clip showed Anna entering a room with a fierce look, her movements sharp and sudden. David appeared cautious, trying to calm her, but the atmosphere was thick with unease. The cameras caught Anna storming out moments later, slamming doors behind her. In another scene, David was seen alone, his face pale and eyes darting nervously as he looked around the house, as if expecting trouble at any moment. The footage revealed more than just arguments. There were signs of fear and desperation. David appeared withdrawn, avoiding certain rooms and trying to secure doors. Anna's behavior grew unpredictable. She was sometimes warm and affectionate, but quickly shifted to cold and angry. The contrast was unsettling. Most chilling were the moments Anna did not know she was being recorded. She destroyed some of the visible cameras, unaware that others remained hidden. Her frantic attempts to erase evidence only confirmed the suspicions forming in the investigators' minds. These hidden cameras had captured what no one else had witnessed: the breakdown of a marriage driven by violence and control. The detectives painstakingly pieced together the timeline. On the night David disappeared, the recordings showed a final, terrifying confrontation. Anna's actions were aggressive and calculated. David tried to escape, but the footage caught Anna striking him down. The silent cameras, hidden from view, became silent witnesses to a crime no one could deny. With this visual proof, investigators found new leads: bloodstains hidden under floorboards, disturbed furniture, and a discarded weapon buried in the garden all pointed to a struggle. The evidence matched the footage, weaving a story of betrayal and violence that could no longer be ignored. Anna's carefully maintained story began to crumble. Her calm, collected demeanor was replaced by panic as she realized the extent of the surveillance she had overlooked. The cameras, meant to protect, had instead exposed her darkest secret. This discovery transformed the case from a simple missing person investigation to a murder inquiry. The neighborhood that once admired the Harpers now looked on with shock and disbelief. The truth, recorded in cold, unblinking detail, revealed a nightmare hidden behind the walls of an ordinary home. The power of technology had caught a killer off guard, proving that even the most carefully hidden crimes could be uncovered. As the detectives prepared to confront Anna with the evidence, they knew the silent recordings would speak louder than any words, bringing justice to a victim who had no voice left. As the detectives continued reviewing the footage, Anna's desperate attempts to cover her tracks became increasingly clear. The recordings captured moments where she realized the cameras were still watching her, despite her efforts to destroy several visible ones. Panic crept into her actions. She rushed through the house, smashing devices and unplugging wires, her movements frantic and erratic. But some cameras were cleverly hidden, blending into the walls or disguised as everyday objects, and those kept rolling silently, capturing everything. The footage revealed Anna's shifting emotions: fear, anger, and ultimately desperation. It was as if she knew the truth was closing in on her, yet she was powerless to stop it. She was caught in a web of her own making, unable to erase what had already been recorded. This sense of inevitability added a haunting layer to the investigation, as the silent cameras documented every moment of her unraveling. The recordings also showed the moments leading up to David's final hours. Their arguments grew more frequent and intense, each one escalating into physical violence. Anna's fury was relentless. She was no longer the composed, friendly woman everyone knew. She was someone driven by rage and fear. The footage showed her cornering David, striking him with a force that left no doubt about her intent. The quiet, controlled life they had built was shattered by these moments of brutal violence. At the same time, David's demeanor shifted from frustration to terror. He tried to protect himself, attempting to retreat and shield his face from the blows. The cameras caught the struggle, his desperate attempts to escape, and Anna's determined efforts to keep him confined. It was a terrifying scene, made even more chilling because it was recorded in silence, with no one to intervene. In the days after the attack, the footage showed Anna trying to clean up the evidence, wiping down surfaces, hiding bloodstains beneath rugs and furniture, and disposing of anything that could link her to the crime. But the cameras had already captured it all. Even her most careful movements were recorded, leaving a digital trail that would be impossible to deny. As investigators pieced together the timeline, they realized Anna's actions were coldly calculated. The planning, the violence, and the cleanup all pointed to a woman who had lost control but still tried to maintain the appearance of innocence. The recordings made it impossible for her to hide behind lies or excuses. When police finally confronted Anna with the video evidence, the impact was immediate. The calm and confidence she had maintained vanished, replaced by shock and fear. The recordings were undeniable proof of her guilt. Silent, relentless witnesses that exposed the truth no matter how hard she tried to conceal it. This chapter of the investigation revealed the power of technology, not only to capture the truth, but to unravel carefully constructed lies. The cameras had transformed from passive observers into active agents of justice. Anna's realization that everything had been recorded marked the beginning of her downfall, a chilling reminder that in a world filled with hidden eyes, no secret can stay buried forever. With the damning footage in hand, the investigation took a decisive turn. The silent recordings were no longer just evidence. They were the truth laid bare, impossible to dispute or ignore. Police secured the Harper home and began a thorough search, uncovering physical clues that aligned perfectly with what the cameras had shown. Bloodstains hidden beneath floorboards, disturbed furniture with dried smudges, and a small bloodied object buried in the garden confirmed the chilling story told by the footage. Anna Harper's carefully woven web of lies unraveled swiftly. The truth was clear. She had planned and executed a brutal attack on her husband, attempting to disguise it as a disappearance. Her actions, once hidden behind a mask of normalcy, were now exposed to the harsh light of justice. The community that had admired the couple was left stunned, struggling to comprehend how such violence could exist behind closed doors. The arrest was swift and inevitable. Anna was taken into custody, the weight of the evidence pressing down on her like a relentless tide. She no longer had the composed demeanor that once fooled neighbors and investigators alike. The realization that every move, every moment of violence and cover-up had been recorded shattered her facade completely. During the trial, the recordings became the centerpiece of the prosecution's case. The silent witnesses from the hidden cameras spoke volumes, showing not only the crime, but the cruelty and calculation behind it. The jury watched the footage in stunned silence, unable to deny the reality of what had transpired. It was a rare case where technology bridged the gap between suspicion and undeniable proof. Anna's defense struggled to counter the overwhelming evidence. Attempts to discredit the recordings as manipulated or taken out of context fell flat. The meticulous timestamps, the consistency of the scenes, and the supporting forensic evidence all reinforced the truth captured by the cameras. In the end, the court found her guilty of murder and she was sentenced accordingly. The case became a stark reminder of the power and risks of modern surveillance. What was meant to protect had instead revealed the darkest secrets, catching a killer off guard. It raised questions about privacy and the fine line between security and intrusion. But for the victims and their families, it was justice delivered through unseen eyes. For the community, the Harper case left a lasting impact. Neighbors who once looked the other way began to pay closer attention to the signs of trouble hidden behind closed doors. The story was a sobering lesson that appearances could be deadly illusions, and that sometimes technology was the only witness strong enough to tell the truth. In the quiet aftermath, the house stood empty, a grim reminder of the violence it had witnessed. Yet the recordings remained, locked away, but never forgotten. They served as a testament to the victims' final moments and a warning to anyone who believed they could hide their darkest deeds. The killer wife had been caught, not by chance, but by the relentless gaze of the cameras that never stopped recording.